Okay, so I'm about to show you something that's going to completely change the way you think about feeding your plants. Like, I'm talking game changer level stuff here. You know that feeling when you go to the garden store and you're staring at all these expensive fertilizers and you're like, which one do I even buy? And then you look at the price tag and you're thinking, seriously? 30 bucks for this tiny bag? Yeah, I've been there too. But here's the thing that nobody really talks about. Most of those fertilizers, they're packed with chemicals you can't even pronounce, and sure, they might make your plants grow fast, but at what cost? You're putting that stuff in your soil, and if you're growing vegetables or herbs, that's going into your food, into your body. I used to buy all that stuff. Every season I'd spend like $100, maybe more, on fertilizers and plant food, and my plants were doing okay, I guess. But something just didn't feel right. I started researching what's actually in those bags, and honestly, it freaked me out a little. There's synthetic nitrogen, phosphates, all these compounds that sound like they belong in a chemistry lab, not in my backyard, where my kids play, and where I'm growing food for my family. And then I started thinking about what happens to all those chemicals when it rains. They wash into the groundwater, into streams, into the environment. It's not just about my garden anymore, it's bigger than that. So I went down this massive rabbit hole. I started reading about organic gardening, talking to old school gardeners, watching videos, reading forums, the whole deal. And you know what I found out? People have been growing amazing plants for thousands of years without any of this store-bought stuff. Our grandparents and great-grandparents grew incredible gardens, with just kitchen scraps and things they found around the house, and that's when I discovered this recipe. This one fertilizer recipe that uses stuff you literally already have at home, stuff you're probably throwing away right now, stuff that's sitting in your trash can or your compost bin or at the bottom of your coffee maker. And I'm not exaggerating when I say my plants have never been healthier. My tomatoes are bigger, my flowers are brighter, my herbs are so flavorful, it's insane. And I haven't bought commercial fertilizer in 2 years. 2 years. Think about how much money that is. Think about how many plastic bags and containers I haven't thrown away. My neighbor actually came over last summer and asked me what fertilizer company I was using because my vegetable garden looked like something out of a magazine. When I told her I was using banana peels and coffee grounds, she literally laughed. She thought I was joking, but then she tried it herself, and now she's hooked too. This isn't some complicated science experiment. You don't need a degree in horticulture. You don't need fancy equipment. You just need to stop throwing away certain things and start putting them to work in your garden. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it, step by step, every single ingredient, why it works, and how to make it. So stick around, because this is going to blow your mind. Alright, so let me break down what you're going to need for this magic potion, and I promise you, this is so simple you're going to be like, wait, that's it? First ingredient, banana peels. Yes, those banana peels you throw in the trash every single day. Bananas are loaded with potassium, and potassium is like fuel for your plants. It helps them grow strong roots, fight off diseases, and produce better fruit. Professional gardeners pay good money for potassium-rich fertilizers, and you're literally throwing it away. Think about it. Every time you eat a banana, you're tossing away this incredible source of nutrients. Potassium is one of the 3 main nutrients that plants need, along with nitrogen and phosphorus. It's so important that commercial fertilizers always list it as one of their main ingredients. But banana peels have it naturally, and it's in a form that plants can actually use easily. Plus, banana peels also have small amounts of magnesium and sulfur, which are like bonus nutrients your plants will love. Second, eggshells. If you eat eggs, you've got this covered. Eggshells are pure calcium, and calcium is super important for preventing diseases in plants, especially tomatoes. You know that gross thing called blossom end rot where the bottom of your tomato turns black and mushy? Calcium prevents that. Save those eggshells. But calcium does so much more than just prevent diseases. It actually helps build strong cell walls in plants, which makes them more resistant to pests and stress. It helps with root development and nutrient absorption. And here's something cool. When you crush up eggshells and add them to your soil, they also help balance the pH level. A lot of soils are too acidic, and eggshells naturally make soil more neutral, which most vegetables and flowers prefer. Third ingredient, coffee grounds. If you're a coffee drinker, this is perfect. Coffee grounds add nitrogen to your soil, and nitrogen is what makes plants green and leafy. It's basically plant protein. Plus, worms absolutely love coffee grounds, and worms make your soil amazing. Nitrogen is essential for photosynthesis, which is how plants make their food. Without enough nitrogen, plants turn yellow and grow really slowly. But with coffee grounds, you're giving them a steady supply of nitrogen as the grounds break down. And the worm thing is real. I started adding coffee grounds to my garden, and within a few weeks, I noticed way more earthworms in my soil. Those worms tunnel through the dirt, creating air pockets and breaking down organic matter, which makes your soil loose and rich. Fourth, this one's a little weird, but stay with me: aquarium water. If you have a fish tank, don't throw that water away when you clean it. That water is gold. It's full of nitrogen and other nutrients from fish waste. It's basically liquid fertilizer that you're pouring down the drain. Fish waste contains ammonia that breaks down into nitrates, which plants absorb directly through their roots. People actually pay money for fish emulsion fertilizer at garden stores, and it's basically the same thing. If you have a fish tank, you're sitting on free fertilizer every time you do a water change. And the last ingredient, molasses. Yeah, the baking stuff. Molasses feeds the good bacteria in your soil. Healthy soil means healthy plants. It's that simple. You want your soil full of good microbes, and molasses is like a buffet for them. Those beneficial bacteria and fungi actually help break down organic matter and make nutrients available to your plants. They form relationships with plant roots and help them absorb water and nutrients more efficiently. Molasses is pure sugar, and microbes go crazy for it. When you add molasses to your fertilizer, you're basically supercharging all the beneficial life in your soil. Now, you don't need all of these ingredients every time. Even just 2 or 3 of these will work. But if you can get all 5 together, your plants are going to absolutely explode with growth. I'm talking about results you can see in just a week or 2. Okay, now let me show you exactly how to make this. This is the actual recipe I use, and I make a fresh batch about once a month during growing season. Start by collecting your banana peels for about a week. Just toss them in a container in your freezer so they don't get gross and smelly. You'll want about 4 or 5 banana peels for one batch. Same with eggshells. Collect them, rinse them off really well, and let them dry out. You'll want about 10 eggshells. I usually just keep a little container on my counter where I collect them throughout the week. Here's what you do. Take those banana peels out of the freezer and let them thaw for a bit, then chop them up into small pieces. Doesn't have to be perfect, just smaller chunks, so they break down faster. The smaller you cut them, the quicker they'll release their nutrients into the water. I usually cut mine into like 1-inch pieces, and that works great. Then take your eggshells and crush them up. I just put them in a plastic bag and smash them with a rolling pin. You want them kind of powdery, but little chunks are fine too. Some people use a coffee grinder or a blender to make them super fine, and that works even better, because the calcium gets released faster. But honestly, just crushing them by hand works perfectly fine. Don't stress about making them perfect. Get yourself a big bucket or container, at least a gallon size, but bigger's better if you have a lot of plants. I use a 2-gallon bucket because I have a pretty big garden. Make sure it has a lid because this mixture is going to smell a little funky while it sits, and you don't want to attract flies or anything. Throw in your chopped banana peels and crushed eggshells. Add about 2 cups of used coffee grounds. If you don't have that much, use what you've got. Even half a cup will help. If you don't drink coffee, ask a friend or coworker to save some for you, or stop by a coffee shop and ask if they have any used grounds. A lot of coffee shops actually give them away for free because they know gardeners love them. Now add 1 gallon of water. If you have aquarium water, use that instead of regular tap water. If not, regular water is fine. Just try to use water that's been sitting out for a day, so the chlorine evaporates. Chlorine can kill some of the good bacteria you're trying to grow, so letting it sit out overnight helps. Then add 2 tablespoons of molasses and stir it all up really well. Make sure that molasses dissolves completely into the water. Cover your bucket with the lid and let it sit for 3 days. Just leave it somewhere outside or in your garage, somewhere it won't bother anyone with the smell. Stir it once a day with a stick or old spoon. you'll notice it starts to smell earthy and kind of fermented. That's good. That means all those nutrients are breaking down and the beneficial bacteria are multiplying. After 3 days, you've got concentrated organic fertilizer. It's going to be kind of dark and murky looking, and you'll see pieces of banana peel and coffee grounds floating in there. That's perfect. To use it, you're going to dilute it. This is important because the concentrate is too strong to use directly on plants. Mix 1 part of your fertilizer with 3 parts water. So if you take 1 cup of the concentrate, add 3 cups of water. I usually mix up a whole watering can at a time so I can water multiple plants. Then just pour it around the base of your plants. Don't pour it on the leaves, just on the soil around the roots. You want those nutrients going straight down to where the roots can absorb them. Use about a cup or 2 per plant depending on how big the plant is. Bigger plants can handle more. Use this every 2 weeks during growing season, and I'm telling you, you're going to see a massive difference. Your plants will be darker green, grow faster, and produce way more fruit or flowers. So let me tell you what happened when I first tried this. I was honestly skeptical, like how could banana peels and coffee grounds compete with professional fertilizer? But I had nothing to lose, so I tried it on half my garden and kept using store-bought stuff on the other half as a test. Within 2 weeks I could see a difference. The plants getting my homemade fertilizer were greener and growing faster. After a month, it wasn't even close. The organic side of my garden was thriving. Bigger plants, more flowers, healthier leaves. I was shocked. I actually took pictures because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My tomatoes that year were incredible. I grew these massive beefsteak tomatoes that were like a pound each. Some of them were so big I could barely hold them in one hand, and the flavor was unbelievable. So much better than anything I'd ever grown before. I think it's because organic fertilizer doesn't just make plants grow fast. It makes them grow healthy. There's a difference. My neighbors were asking what I was using, and when I told them, they didn't believe me at first. They thought I was keeping some secret expensive fertilizer to myself. But it works. It really, really works. I even convinced a few of them to try it, and now we all swap banana peels and coffee grounds. It's become this whole thing in our neighborhood. Here's a few extra tips that I've learned over the past 2 years. First, you can also just bury banana peels directly in your soil if you want. Just chop them up and dig them in around your plants. They'll break down and feed your plants slowly over several weeks. Same with coffee grounds. You can sprinkle them right on top of your soil as mulch, just don't use too much at once because they can make your soil too acidic if you go overboard. A thin layer is perfect. Second, if you don't want to make a liquid fertilizer, you can make a dry mix. Just dry out your banana peels in the oven on low heat until they're crispy and brown. Then blend them into a powder with your eggshells and coffee grounds. Sprinkle that around your plants and water it in. This is great if you don't want to deal with the smell of fermenting fertilizer or if you just want something quick and easy. And one more thing, this isn't just for vegetable gardens. I use this on my houseplants, my flowers, my herbs, everything. It works on literally any plant. My indoor plants have never looked better. I used to struggle keeping houseplants alive, and now they're all thriving. I even use a weaker version on my succulents, and they love it. The best part about all of this? You're saving money, you're reducing waste, and you know exactly what's going into your soil. No weird chemicals, no mystery ingredients. Just pure, organic nutrition for your plants. I calculated that I've saved probably $300 over the past 2 years, just by not buying fertilizer. That's money I can spend on new plants or seeds instead. So seriously, try this. Start saving those banana peels and eggshells today. Put a container in your freezer right now. Your plants are going to thank you, your wallet is going to thank you, and honestly it feels really good, knowing you're growing food or flowers in the healthiest way possible. If you try this recipe, let me know how it works for you. I'd love to hear about your results. Drop a comment and tell me what happened with your garden. And, if you found this helpful, share it with someone who loves gardening. Let's spread the word about how easy and affordable organic gardening can be. Thanks for watching, and happy gardening everyone.